This woman, Virginia Roberts, now Virginia Giuffre, claims she was a victim of sex trafficking. She alleges she had sex with the prince 3 times, once in an orgy on Epstein's private island.
He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it. Thank you.
Now Prince Andrew says he has come clean about it in an interview with the BBC.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady.
Last month, after a detailed analysis of flight logs and the court circular, Channel 4's Dispatches programme established that it was likely the infamous photograph of Andrew with his arm round 17-year-old Virginia Roberts was likely to have been taken on March the 10th, 2001, at Epstein's friend Ghislaine Maxwell's Belgravia townhouse. Prince Andrew says that on the night of March the 10th, he couldn't have been dancing and having sex with a teenager because he was in suburban Woking, taking his daughter Beatrice to a party here at Pizza Express. He says he's only been to Woking a couple of times and remembers it weirdly distinctly.
I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at I suppose sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then, because the Duchess was away, we have a simple rule in the family that when one's away, the other one's there. I was on terminal leave at the time from the Royal Navy, so therefore I was at home.
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday and being at home?
Because going to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do. A very unusual thing for me to do. I've only been through Woking a couple of times, and I remember it weirdly distinctly. As soon as somebody reminded me of it, I went, oh yes, I remember that.
Virginia Giuffre says on their first encounter, she and Prince Andrew danced at Tramp nightclub. She recalls him being a hideous dancer and sweating profusely.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was, oh actually, yes, I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at, and I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat, and it's only because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again. So I'm afraid to say that there's a medical condition that says that I didn't do it.
He suggested the picture of him and Virginia may have been doctored.
I don't believe it's a picture of me in London, because when I go out in London, I wear a suit and a tie. That's what I would describe as those are my travelling clothes if I'm going overseas. So I've got plenty of photographs of me dressed in those sorts of sort of kit, but not there.
Just to clarify, so you think that photo has been faked?
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
In 2008, Epstein was jailed for procuring an underage girl for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. Yet just 2 years later, in December 2010, Andrew visited him at his New York mansion.
You said you went to break up the relationship, and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering how long...
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay. I've gone through this in my mind so many times. At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one could have, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. But at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do. I had to go and see him. I had to
stay with him and stay in the house.
I could easily have gone and stayed somewhere else, but sheer convenience of being able to get a hold of the man was. I mean, he was in and out all over the place. So getting him in one place for a period of time to actually have a long enough conversation to say, look, these are the reasons why I'm not going to. And that happened on the walk.
Survivors of sexual violence say they're appalled at Andrew's failure to show any sympathy for Epstein's many victims. Royal watchers say in striving to answer questions, he's only raised many more.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
The FBI has been investigating Epstein for months now. Prince Andrew says he'd be prepared to give a statement under oath if his lawyers advise it.